خالفتم أقوال الشيوخ فأنتم.
Hello, man.
Are you a Christian?
Yes,
Nice. Do you agree or disagree that Christianity is satanic?
I disagree. Let
You disagree?
Yes, I disagree. Can I
Okay.
guess one thing here?
Guess? You want to play guess?
When you say Christianity is satanic, does that claim has anything to do with the Trinity?
Not really. No.
No. Then why will it be satanic?
Because you worship a man. Is worshiping a man satanic?
Depends whether that man is also God.
No, I'm asking you, is worshiping a man simplicity or satanic?
Simpliciter, like absolutely?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so worshiping a man is not satanic according to you.
Not if that the man is Jesus of Nazareth, who is God.
That's just called special pleading. So
No,
simpliciter,
because
simpliciter, is it satanic or not?
no,
Good. So worshiping man is not satanic. What about
no.
drinking? Is drinking blood simpliciter satanic?
Simpliciter, no, neither.
No. Is eating flesh simpliciter satanic?
No, neither.
So eating flesh, drinking blood is not satanic.
No, because it can be the case that okay, it can be the case that first of all the man is Jesus of Nazareth, who is the God man.
No, I
Second of
know.
all,
I know.
the
I know.
flesh
I know.
can be the flesh of Jesus Christ in the Eucharist, and third, the blood can be the blood of Jesus Christ also in the Eucharist.
Good. So then cannibalism is not wrong simpliciter.
Depends how you want to define that.
Okay, so then you agree it's not wrong simpliciter, right?
Simpliciter? Well, if in cannibalism you include the Eucharist, then no.
Okay, well, that's fantastic. What about worshiping a creature? Is that satanic?
Uh, Good question.
Yeah, I know it's
I
a good
mean,
question.
I mean, in the case of no, yeah, hold on, yes, it is satanic to worship a creator.
It is satanic.
Yes, and in the case of Jesus, we worship him insofar as he is united to the divine.
So you don't worship. So you don't worship Jesus in his fullness. You worship a part of Jesus.
A part of Jesus, what do you mean by part?
Do you worship Jesus or do you worship only an aspect of Jesus?
What do you mean by Jesus?
When I say Jesus, I just mean the person Jesus.
You mean God the Son? Yes, we worship God the Son.
Okay. Does God the Son have a created human nature and a created body?
Yes, he has a created human nature.
So when you're worshiping the person, in you worshiping that person, you're also worshiping a human being who's created, right?
A human being make it sound like it is a separate hypostasis.
I didn't say it's a separate hypothesis. I said, in worshiping the divine Son of God, you're worshiping a created man, right?
A created human nature.
Nope, you're not worshiping the nature because Jesus is not just a nature, he's a human person and a divine person.
No, actually, we will deny that Jesus is a human person. He's a divine person with a human nature.
What's the distinction between a human person and a person with a human nature?
A human person has a human hypostasis.
A human hypothesis?
Yeah, it means that it subsists by, okay, Jesus does not, okay, God the Son does not subsist by the human nature. I mean, the terminus by which that human nature in which that the Son has subsists in the Son, not in in itself.
Are you Chalcedonian?
Yes, Chalcedonian.
So you believe Jesus Christ is consubstantial with us?
Consubstantial with us in the sense of sharing the same specific nature, yes.
Good. Is it essential for a human being to be a human person?
It is essential to a human being to be a human person, not absolutely.
So you could be a human without being a human person?
Only in such cases in which your human nature does not subsist in itself.
So you're saying a human could be, so a human doesn't have to be a human person?
A human nature can
No, I'm
subsist.
not talking about that. Can a human be a human without being a human person?
Can a human be a well? Jesus is a human. He's not a human person.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, is it an essential property of humanity to be a person? A human person?
Is an essential property of humanity to be a human person? I will not know what exactly does that mean.
What do you mean you don't know what that means? What?
Okay, let's
You know
get into
exactly
it.
what that means. If Jesus is consubstantial with me, and I'm necessarily a human person, then he also must be a human person. Unless you want to
Well,
say
what do
that
you
it's
mean by
not
actually? We have not defined the terms. What do you mean by human person?
a rational agent
With
with a human
humanity?
nature. Yeah.
A rational agent with a human nature. That's what human person means to you.
Yep.
Okay, with that definition, then yes, Jesus is a human person.
Okay, so in worshiping Jesus, the Son of God, are you
Uh huh.
worshiping a person who has a created human nature?
Yes.
So you are worshiping somebody created.
Somebody refers to a subject.
Yeah, Jesus is a subject who's created.
Yes, and he is also God.
Yeah, but he's a subject who's created, right?
No, he's not the human. The
Oh,
okay,
don't be an historian.
the
Jesus,
logos. The
Jesus.
logos is
Well,
not.
now you're doing historianism.
Why?
There's one subject called Jesus Christ. He's
Uh
created.
huh.
He's created insofar as his humanity. He's uncreated insofar as his divinity, right?
No, the person itself is not created. It's uncreated. What
No,
is created is the human nature that he has.
I'm saying the one subject. The one
The
subject.
one,
Right. He's created insofar as his humanity, right?
insofar as his humanity, that's a bit of a weird way of saying
It's
it.
not. It's not weird at all. Jesus has a created body, and he's a created human nature.
Yes,
Do you worship that?
that created human nature. I don't know if I will say that I worship a nature.
No, I'm not saying you worship the nature. I'm saying do you worship Jesus, the subject, who has a created human nature.
Yes, I do.
So you do worship a creature.
I don't take creature to mean a thing with a created nature.
What's a creature? Sorry.
A creature, a created hypostasis.
Okay, you're just redefining what a creature is. A creature is that which is created, right?
That hypostasis which is
Yeah.
created.
Nope. Nope. A rock is not a hypostasis. Is it a creature?
A rock is a hypostasis, though.
When you say hypostasis, are you referring to a person?
No.
Oh, okay.
A person is a type of
I got
hypostasis.
you. I understand you now. Okay. So you're saying a creature is a hypostasis that is created?
Yes.
Okay, good. Is Jesus' body created?
Jesus' body created? Yes.
And which subject is it predicated to? Who does it belong to?
The Son, God the Son.
Do you worship that subject?
God the Son, yes.
Okay, so you worship a creature.
No, because God the Son is not created.
So there's nothing about Jesus that's created?
No. Do you mean the problem is that we keep exchanging this?
Is Jesus' body created?
Yes, it is.
So Jesus' body is a hypostasis?
Is it a hypostasis? No, because it does not subsist in itself.
So it's not a creature.
No.
Jesus' body is
No.
not a creature?
Jesus' body is not a created hypostasis.
I
That's the
didn't
thing.
say no, you said a creature is necessarily a created hypostasis, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what
Is Jesus' body created? Is it a creature?
No, because Jesus' body is not a
So
hypostasis.
Jesus' body is uncreated.
No. What? Okay. The created part is being met. There are two conditions to be a creator. First, you have to be.
You can't have both. You can't
Okay.
have both, man.
To be a creator, first you have to.
I'm asking if Jesus' body is a creature.
No.
Jesus' body is uncreated?
No, because there is a second condition. Okay, there are two conditions.
It's a true dichotomy. Is Jesus' body created or uncreated?
Okay, let me explain this issue. There are two conditions to be a creator. First, you have to be created. Second, Second,
What is that? What is that? To be
created
created,
to be caused by way of efficient causality.
To be what? Sorry.
Caused by way of efficient causation.
Sorry, bro. Your accent is heavy, brother. I'm not understanding
Okay.
what you're saying.
Okay, to be created is basically to sorry. Have a beginning in time.
Have a beginning in time.
Yes.
That's not what Gregory Palamas says.
I am not a Palamite.
You're not. Oh, okay. Well, I think
I'm Catholic.
Oh, you're not Eastern Orthodox. You're Catholic.
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, keep going. I reject that definition, but it's okay. I'll grant it for argument's sake.
Okay, so the reason for why worshiping Jesus is not idolatry, even though he has a human nature, will be simply because the subject is that which we worship, and we worship him having his two aspects, which will be his divinity and his humanity.
Is the
Idolatry
humanity
properly,
created?
the humanity is created, but idolatry is it only occurs.
So you worship a created thing, right?
A created thing insofar as it is united to the divine person.
All right. So then, worshiping a creature is not wrong, simpliciter.
Not wrong simpliciter, well, if you count the human nature as a creator, while insofar as it is united to the Logos, we do worship it.
Okay, so then you do worship a creature.
Insofar as the human nature is united to the Logos, yes.
Okay, so insofar as this creature is united to the Logos, you're a Satanist.
I will not say that that's Satanist.
Nope, you told me simpliciter worshiping a creature is satanic. Do you want to take that back?
I told you that?
Yep.
Well, I was that in that context, I was taking my definition of creator. But if you want to use your definition,
I didn't give you a definition. I didn't even give a definition, man.
you seem to take creator to basically mean anything that is created.
You just use the definition. Use the word in the definition. That's not a
creature, okay. Let's explain this issue.
A creature for me is that which is that everything outside of the essence of God.
Well, the human nature is indeed really distinct from the Godhood.
Sorry?
The human nature is really distinct from the Godhood.
Yeah, so it's created.
Yeah, it's a creator.
Right. So then
in that sense.
So then you worship a created thing.
Insofar as it is united to the uncreated Logos.
So then it's not. So is it satanic to worship a creature simpliciter or not?
Simpliciter, no.
So then. So then say it again. Worshiping a creature is not wrong. Absolutely. There are some cases where it's okay to worship a creature.
There is one case.
That's included in what I said.
Yeah, but what happened is that your phrasing makes it look like there are a ton of examples of worshiping creators. Well, in reality, the only case is when that creator is a human nature.
That's called special pleading.
No, it's not special pleading to say that.
It's definitely special pleading.
Special pleading only applies.
Why can't the Hindu say, I'm not an idolater. I don't do idolatry. It's only idolatry when you're not worshiping Hanuman.
It's only is Hanuman a creature?
No, it's a creature, but it's only idolatry to worship a creature if it's not Hanuman. Is that okay?
Is the subject of Hanuman created?
Yeah.
Okay, then that would be idolatry.
No, he's saying it's not idolatry because it's Hanuman.
But I am not simply saying it's not idolatry because of Jesus. I'm saying it's not idolatry because this human nature is hypostatically.
That's still special pleading. That's the same as him saying because it's Hanuman. You're saying it's not idolatry. It's not because the creature is united to God. And he's saying, okay, well, it's not idolatry because it's Hanuman. And he's God.
It's not special pleading only applies when you remove something from a category without reason. I just gave you a reason.
Yeah, I also gave you a reason. It's Hanuman. And he has
it's Hanuman.
He's a god. He's a god.
It's Hanuman. It's not. Also, Hanuman is not a god.
No, he's a god. But he's a created.
God has to be omnipotent.
He's a created God. So then it's okay to worship him,
That's a
because
contradiction.
as long as he's a God, as long as he's a creature that is a God, you could worship him. So then what's the difference then?
The difference in this case, we don't worship created subjects.
Okay, that's just wordplay. If you don't want to call Jesus a created subject, that's just semantics, because Jesus fulfills all that is necessary to be a created subject.
Except the fact that his hypostasis is not created.
Again, that's semantics. You're saying his hypostasis is not created because a divine person predates or comes before, precedes the incarnation. And you
Yes.
you just want to say, well, that's why he's not a human person. But really, that's just semantics. What about Jesus disqualifies him from being a human person?
The fact that his hypostasis is the divinity.
That's fine. That doesn't disqualify him from being a human person. Do you agree that a human person is an instance of a person is an instance of a rational nature? A human person is an instance of a human nature.
I will not agree with those definitions.
Why would you not agree with that definition?
Because, okay, for a human person to exist, this is very complicated. Okay, a person is a thing that subsists in itself and has a rational nature. The human nature.
I don't know what that means. Subsist in itself.
Subsist. Okay. For example, your color, the color you are, that is not a separate thing that subsists in itself. It subsists in you. Okay?
Are you just saying it's a predicate?
Something like that.
Okay, the divine nature is a predicate as much as the human nature is a predicate. What's the difference?
The difference is that the Son is really identical to the divine nature.
The Son is really identical. Is that numerical identity or is that relative identity?
Yes, it's numerical.
Yeah, that's just, how is that? So you're saying Jesus, who's fully man and fully God, is identical to the divine nature?
No. Only insofar as it is the Logos is identical.
So he's not identical then.
Okay.
So it's not absolute identity. I just asked you that.
I will not even know what absolute identity means in this context. We use real identity.
Classical identity, my friend.
Classical identity? We don't believe in classical identity.
I know. That's what I just asked you. I asked you about classical identity. You said yes, he's identical.
No, I thought you meant absolute identity. But if you mean classical identity in the modern sense, we reject that because we reject classical logic in general.
Right. So then now you just proved to me that saying a divine person or human person is just a semantic. He's just a created subject and an uncreated subject.
Okay. I could not even begin to explain to you this stuff like this. Okay. Why would you say it is a created subject? How can a nature be a created subject?
Because Jesus is a person with humanity.
Okay, is your hair color a subject?
No, that's a predicate to the sub. The hair color is predicated to me.
And it also subsists in you.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, again, your hair.
Yeah,
your hair. So
again, is Jesus
the
one person, the one Jesus? Is that the one
subject
person that you believe in?
Yes, I believe in that subject.
Okay, and humanity is predicated to the one subject, right?
Yes.
Good. Is divinity predicated to the one subject?
Predicated in a different sense.
What do you mean predicated in a different sense?
Well, in the case of the divinity, the Son is really identical to the divinity.
Okay, good. Is humanity predicated to me? Is it true of
yes.
me? Is it true of me?
Yes.
Am I a human person?
Yes.
If that makes me a human person, why would it make Jesus a human person?
No, I did not say that that's what makes you a human person. Your human nature also subsists in in you who are merely
I'm
human.
I'm I'm an instance of humanity, and so I am a human person, right?
Yeah, but unlike in the case of Jesus,
Jesus is an instance of humanity. So
and
whether you call him a person or not, do you worship a created instance of humanity?
do I worship a created instance of humanity?
Yep.
Um, Insofar as the human nature that the Son possesses is united to the Logos, yes, I worship that.
So you worship a created instance of humanity. You worship a creature.
Insofar as it is united to the Logos.
So then that takes us back to what you admitted earlier. It's not wrong to worship creatures simpliciter, right?
No, because there is one single case where that's not where worshiping a creator is not wrong because that creator just so happens to
Well,
be
I think yeah, well,
hypostatically united to God.
I think that's sufficient to show that you're a polytheist. Whether you
Why would
worship
I be a polytheist?
because you're saying, well, I worship a creature, but in this one instance, it's okay. That's no difference from a Hindu saying, well, it's wrong to worship creatures as long as they're not gods.
Except that by definition, a creator is not God.
By whose definition?
By what it means to be God?
No, you're equivocating. God is not a rigid designator.
No, why do you think the word God?
Yeah, so God is not a rigid designator. It refers to many things. A Hindu can believe in many gods as some kind of lower beings, right? So
Okay,
as
okay.
long as so a Hindu could say, well, it's not wrong to worship. It's wrong to worship creatures. I agree with you, but then he'll say only Hanuman, the created God, you could worship. Everything else is idolatry. Would you be okay with that?
No, because that would be indeed special pleading.
Right, that's the same, brother. You're in the same category now. He's special pleading for Hanuman, and you're special pleading for Jesus.
I am
Just,
not,
it
no,
just,
because I am not simply say, I am explaining by it is a different case.
no, it's not a different case. You just have a different framework. At the end of the day, you're special pleading. You're saying it's wrong to worship creatures except for this one creature. Why? Because it's united to God. Well, okay, then a Hindu could say it's wrong to worship creatures unless the creature is united to Brahman.
To Brahman? I mean, hypostatically united to Brahman?
Let's say that's the case. What's the
If
problem?
that were the case, then that will be analogous. So the real problem would simply be the
Good.
fact that Brahman does not exist.
Good. So then Hindus, if they adopted your metaphysical framework, could be monotheists and true worshippers of God and not idol worshippers, right?
They will still be idol worshippers because the
How
things
would
they
they be
attribute.
idol worshippers?
Because in this case, the type of Brahman does not exist. That's the problem.
No, I said if they adopted your metaphysical framework, then they would be monotheists. Metaphysically, they wouldn't be polytheists, right?
So are you asking within Hinduism?
Yeah.
So if within Hinduism they worship it just a classical theist god, that will not be idolatry
Yeah,
within
yeah.
again within.
They say there are 33 million persons and there is exactly one God, Brahman.
Well, I will have to actually check what's what they believe.
No,
But I will
I didn't
simply
say
say
that. But I said if they adopted that framework, they said there is 33 million persons. 33 million of these persons took on a created nature, and there is only one God. There's one divine usia. Would they no longer be polytheists?
I mean, I guess that they will not be a type of monotheist.
So they would be monotheists then.
I mean, I guess so, but they will have to first. They will have to first have a perfectly analogous to the Trinity. Second of all, we still had the problem that that the persons they ascribe divinity to, which will be like Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, etc., are actually idols. So they will still be idolaters from our point of view. From our point of view, to the watching them, they will still be idolaters, even if within their system.
No, you said they would be monotheists because they're
Yes, you can be
adopting
an
a
idolater
framework.
if you can be an idolater if, and be a monotheist.
No, I'm not talking about idolatry anymore. I'm said monotheism and polytheism. Would they be
Well,
monotheists?
well, yeah, you can be a monotheist.
Okay, so they would be monotheists. Brother, you
In
don't see
that
the
case,
issue with your.
yes.
So then, polytheism is impossible under your metaphysical framework.
It's perfectly possible. The Greeks were polytheists, the Romans,
No, I
the
said
Celtics.
under your metaphysics, polytheism is impossible.
Why would it be?
Because if you adopt your metaphysical framework and apply it to any worldview, that worldview would no longer be polytheistic, right?
Yeah, but they don't apply it. That's the problem.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then, if they started saying, well, listen, we have actually one God, Brahman, and then there's 33 million hypostases, they would not. They would be monotheists, right?
At least in principle, but we'll have to actually check how that plays out.
Okay.
And
Well,
again, that will still be idolatry.
okay. Well, you said that you could worship created things. So then, what you
Insofar
consider
as
what
they
you
are
consider
hypostatically united.
right. So what you consider idolatry is irrelevant now. So what I want to ask you next is, where is Jesus consubstantial with the Father in the New Testament?
And John 1:1.
In John 1:1, you're saying
Yes.
John 1:1 necessitates consubstantiality?
It seems to me it straight up calls the word God.
Yeah, the word is theos. It's used in a qualitative sense. So the word
Yes,
is
I know
divine.
that.
Right, so why would that necessitate a Trinitarian reading?
Because since the word theos is the same word as you said in the prior, they have to refer to the same type of divinity.
Wait, the word God what?
Okay. In John 1:1, it says,
Yeah.
in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yeah,
Since
the word was with ha theon, and the word was theos.
yes, exactly. That's what it says.
Yeah, so where do you get consubstantiality here?
Right there. Because if what John was trying to say was simply that the world had divinity in a general sense, it will say theos, not theos.
No, it wouldn't. Where do you
Yes,
get
it
that?
will. Theos, if that
No,
is the actual word that means
that
divine.
wouldn't. The word theos can mean divine qualitatively. As a matter of fact, it's used that way in the New Testament.
It can mean divine in other contexts,
All right.
not in this
So
one.
then, where do you read consubstantiality here?
Where do I see consubstantiality here?
Yeah.
In the fact that it describes the Son with the same word, it describes the Word in the same with the same word, it describes the Father.
What word? Theos?
Huh? I did not understand you.
What word? You mean theos?
Theos.
Yeah,
Theos.
yeah. Satan is called theos. Those who
Yes,
receive the
and in
word of
that
God are called
context,
theos. Moses
yes,
is
and
called
in
theos.
but
Angels
in
are
those
called theos.
yes, but they are not said grammatically in the same sentence as the word God for the one
I'm
God.
asking you for the grammatical argument. You're just asserting it.
Uh, okay, this is
What's the
pretty difficult.
grammatical argument?
The grammatical the grammatical argument for Jesus being God
From John
in
1
this
1.
one
Or
verse.
you can abandon it if you want, but you know it's a bad argument. It's not going to work on me. Nothing in John 1 1 reads that way. Otherwise, they would have read it that way. It just simply doesn't read that way. You're just asserting a
Well,
Trinitarian reading. Is there anywhere in the New Testament that where Jesus is God, consubstantial with the Father?
consubstantial with the Father.
Yeah.
Actually, let's see this. What is the like 5:40? Okay. arguing specifically for this is a bit complicated. I will admit that.
It's complicated. What do you mean complicated? Like it's not clear in the
Complicated.
text?
We're making this whole exegetical argument. It's not an easy thing.
So you agreed there's nowhere in the New Testament where consubstantiality is clearly taught.
Oh yes, I will say that there is. It's just that it is hard to me to find it.
It's hard to find it. So you can't think of any verse where Jesus is God?
I mean, I can find an easy one, which will be 2028.
John 20:28?
Yes.
Yeah, what
He,
about John 20:28?
Thomas calls Jesus my Lord and my God.
Yeah, why would that imply Nicene Trinitarianism?
Well, why do you think he calls him my God?
Yeah, he calls him God in the sense that Philo views the Logos of God to be. In the sense that Justin Martyr sees the Word of God and Origen sees the Word of God as a second God.
Except that he says ho theos.
Sorry?
Ho theon or ho theos. Well, it has the what's the name? It's the same case as in John 1 for God.
Yeah, why would that imply your consubstantiality though?
Well, did not you say that ho theos implies the one God?
I didn't say ho theos implies one God. I said in the New Testament, ho theos is mainly used for the one God, while theos...
And it is used here.
Let me finish, brother. While theos is used qualitatively. However, you find places where theos is not used for the one God, and where theos alone is used for the one God. So I'm saying, where in Thomas do you read that Jesus is the Most High God when the author tells you that Jesus is theos in John 1:1, distinguished from ha theos? If you're saying, if you're making a linguistic argument here, if ha theos, according to John, is the Father, then you're saying here that Jesus is the Father. Otherwise, you'd have to abandon ha theos as an argument in John's Gospel.
What happens is that God can be taken in two senses. It can be a notional name or an essential name. Do you know what that is?
God is a what, sorry?
Notional name and essential name.
As a notional name, or yes. So are you saying here that ha theos is an essential name?
It can be both.
Yeah, I already told you. Ha theos is used mainly for the Father, while theos is used qualitatively for other beings. If you're just wait. If you're gonna make an argument that ha theos always refers to one thing, then you're in trouble. Because then, if you're gonna make that grammatical argument, then you'd have to fall into modalism. We know from John's Gospel that Jesus is not viewed as the Most High God. There's no reason for Thomas to think Jesus is the Most High God. The thesis of John's Gospel is that Jesus is the Messiah. All of these were written to show you that Jesus is the Messiah. So it just seems like you're going to ambiguous verses to try to prove a doctrine that your whole religion relies on. Is there any verse that actually shows Jesus is God other than these verses?
John 20:28, as I said, or you can also try. There was one verse, I don't remember exactly, but for another, in Revelation, it also say that Jesus says
I am the first and the last?
Yes, that one.
Yeah, why would that imply that Jesus is God?
Because only God is eternal.
Only God is eternal. That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not true at all. And even if I granted you that Jesus is claiming eternality here, that's not true at all. Origen, was he a Trinitarian in your view?
Was he a Trinitarian? I don't know.
No, Origen was not a Trinitarian. He says specifically that he doesn't think Jesus is the Most High God, and that he thinks Jesus is a deuteros theos, a second God, and that he's only God by participation. But Origen is an advocate of the eternal generation of the Son. So
yes, I believe in the eternal generation of the Son.
Yeah, so Jesus being eternal doesn't prove he's God. First, second of all, I don't think that verse implies eternality anywhere. What's the argument for that?
How can you claim to be the first and the last and not the eternal?
Yeah, because you're making an argument, you're equivocating here. You're saying that Jesus is called the first and the last in the same way that God is called the first and the last in Isaiah, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not the case. And in the context of Revelations, Jesus is go to Revelations 1:17 and read it for me, please.
12:17.
No, 1:17.
1:17. Okay.
Yeah.
1:17. 1:17. When I saw him, I fell at the feet as to dead. But he laid his right hand upon me, saying, Fear not, I am the first and the last,
Keep
and the
reading.
living one.
Yeah, keep reading.
I died, and behold, I am alive forevermore, and I have the keys of death and Hades.
So there you go. That's the explanation. First and the last is analogically predicated. Jesus is the first because he's the first to die and rise to eternal life. He's the last because he's the final judge and he holds the keys to heaven and hell. And he's ever or post eternal. Okay? It says it again in Revelations chapter 3. Jesus is the arche of God's creation. He's the beginning of God's creation. Jesus is the firstborn. So Jesus is the first because he's the firstborn of God, the arche, the beginning of God's creation, and he's the first to die and rise to eternal life. He's the last because he's post-eternal and because he's the final judge and all judgment has been handed to him. Why would that imply that Jesus is eternal in the same way that God is?
Well, I will simply say that that's because the verse seems to imply, but I will
No,
concede that I have.
the verse doesn't. The verse explains. I'm the first and the lie and the last. I was dead and now I live forever. The context is Jesus being the first to die. That's what Colossians says. Jesus is the firstborn out of the dead. Acts says Jesus is the first to die. Colossians also says Jesus is the firstborn of God's creation, which is an argument that the Arians used. I think it's a fantastic argument. Jesus
Yeah,
is the firstborn in Revelations and in Colossians. He's the firstborn of God's creation and the firstborn out of the dead. That's how he's first. He's not the first in the same way that God is the first.
That's an interesting interpretation. I will have to investigate that before I leave because I don't have that much time.
Yeah.
I assume that you how I say this? Okay, yeah. Do you think that the Trinity is incoherent?
The Trinity is incoherent. Yeah, I think it either you either fall into a contradiction or your position is reduced to absurdity or unintelligibility.
Okay, can you explain why that's the case?
Yeah, just you know what I'm gonna say. It's you have three subjects. Each subject is predicated with divinity. Each subject is not the other, but there's exactly one God according to classical logic. This implies three gods.
Well, first of all, we disagree with what good classical logic. Second of all, we simply say that the three persons are not like predicated godhood; they are the one divine essence,
Yeah, I
which
don't
is the
know.
one God.
Yeah, I just when you say they are the divine essence, that's interesting to me. Are you saying that everything true of A is true of B?
That will be in the case of classical logic, but what
Yeah.
we
So
think
what
is that
kind of what kind of identity are you invoking? Relative identity?
identity of reality.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. You're gonna have to.
Okay, there is this one reality, which is the divine essence, and this reality has three subjects which are identical to it: the Father, the Son, and the Spirit.
There's one reality, and this one reality has three subjects identical to it. Yeah,
Yes,
I don't
the
know. Then
absolute
you're
reality.
invoking identity again. I'm asking you, what's your account? What identity
My
are you
account
invoking?
of identity, well, the scholastic view of identity in this case will be that there is a real identity, which means
You keep
that
saying real identity. When I ask you what is it, you're saying, well, they're identical. So
means
what is
identity in
that?
reality.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
there
is
is
that?
okay, do you know what a reality is?
reality, a concrete, real thing, or
Yes, more or less last.
the sum of all real things.
No, in this case, it would be a concrete reality, a particular reality. Well, technically,
okay,
it's not a
yes,
particular.
yes, a concrete particular. Okay.
Well, technically, particular is being used in a loose sense here, but the point is that this one divine essence is really identical, but virtually distinct from the three divine
When you
persons.
say, I'm asking you, what's your account of identity? You keep asserting that they're really. What is that? How are they really identical? What's the account of identity? Are you saying everything true of A is true of B? Is that what you're saying? Are you invoking relative identity? Are you making God a sortal term? What's going on there?
Okay. How do I explain this to you? Okay, wait a second.
Actually, before you explain it to me, whatever you just said, how does that make sense of Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 6?
Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 6. Let me see.
Yeah.
Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 6. Okay. Zechariah, Haggai, Nahum, Amos, Daniel, Baruch, Jeremiah. You say Nehemiah, right?
Yeah, Nehemiah 9, 6.
Nehemiah. Okay, trying to find it in my Bible. Wisdom, Song, Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, Psalms, Job, Esther, Judith, Tobit, Nehemiah. Okay,
9, 6.
Nehemiah 9, 6.
Yep.
You are the Lord, you alone. You have made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all its hosts.
So
There,
so it says, you alone are Yahweh. You made the heavens.
yes. And I will
You,
say that the Jew refers to the Trinity.
yeah. Well, that can't be the case because you there is a singular pronoun. It's a singular.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, let me finish. So this refers to a singular person. Because
That really depends how.
Oh no, linguistically, singular personal pronouns are used.
Okay. So, what do you think a person is?
Is an instance of a rational nature.
An instance of a rational nature?
Yep.
Well, God has no instances. I mean, what there is simply.
I don't know what that means, and that assumes.
Okay, do you think that a person involves having a mind?
Yeah. Somebody is somebody who has a mind.
So, if there is one mind, there is one person?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that seems all right. Why,
Well, we think that
do you disagree with that?
Yes,
Okay, so what's a person?
because the Trinity has one mind. That's why it's referred to
Yeah,
in the singular often.
Right. So that's exactly that's based on the Augustinian model.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. That's what Augustine seems to be saying.
Yeah, that's why we hold that the Trinity is one he, one you, one I.
If it's one he, it just sounds like you're saying there's one person.
Well, it sounds, and it is of such nature that grammatically it can refer it as if it were one person.
Right. So then, why would it not be one person? I don't understand.
Because even though there is one mind, there are three hypostases.
Yeah, you'd have to further elaborate on what that means in relation to being one mind. And are you saying that Nehemiah is here speaking to one person?
I'm saying he's speaking to a Trinity.
Yeah, is that one person?
Is one mind and three hypostases. And each hypostasis is a person.
Let's do it this way. Is Nehemiah speaking to a single self or three selves?
To a single self? If by self you mean mind, he's speaking to one mind.
I mean self. Is he speaking to one self or three selves?
Well, what is a self?
A self is a someone aware of his individuations.
As someone aware of his individuation, well, in God there is only one mind to be aware of.
Okay, so God is a single person, right?
He is a single mind, but we don't think that mind and person are interchanged.
I'm not sure I understand. So, a person is a single instance aware of its individuations. Would you agree?
I don't think so, because we think that
So what is
person,
a person? You're just
an
changing the definitions of
individual,
everything.
and in actually we use the Boethian definition of an individual substance of a rational nature.
So again, ambiguous. There's 9 definitions of substance. Are you talking about what hexaity? What are you talking about exactly? Is there a concrete self? What substance picking out here? I don't know what that means.
I think that it will be like a concrete reality at some degree.
Again, what is that? A concrete reality. A rock is a concrete reality. It's not a person. So
Yeah, because it lacks, yeah, exactly. A rock is a concrete reality,
right.
so
So
it
are
meets
you
condition one.
right? So are you? What is a person? Is it a single rational instance
A
aware of its
concrete reality of
individuations?
a concrete reality of a rational nature.
Okay. Is the Son, Father, and Spirit the same He or different He's?
The same he depends in what way you are speaking of it, but they
Are
have
they
one
are
mind.
they are they the same someone or different someones?
Are they the same someone?
Yep.
They are three distinct subjects, so no.
I'm not asking that. I'm asking if they're the same He or different He's. How many He's are there in the
Okay,
Trinity?
okay. I guess you could say that relative to each other, yeah, they are distinct he's.
There are distinct He's, so there are 3 He's. So how do you make Son of Nehemiah 9:6? Only
There
one
are
He is the
okay.
Lord.
Okay, here we will have to again distinguish between essentially and relatively. Essentially, there is only we often speak of one key because there is only one mind to speak to. But relatively to each other, because they are three distinct substances, they are three distinct keys.
So is there one He or not one He? You seem to be saying there are 3 He's, but then you're saying there's one He.
There is one key in one sense and three keys in another sense.
One He in one sense? What?
Yes,
How is there one He in one sense? Remember, a
in
He
the
is a
sense that
person. A He is a someone aware of their individuation.
yes, and in the
Are
Trinity
there
there
are
is
there are
only
there 3
one
of
mind to
those?
be.
Just wait. Are there 3 of those or one of those?
When you say aware of its individuation,
Yeah.
do you mean the act by which they are aware?
The act by which they are. Oh, I don't know what that means.
Okay, so for example, you have an act here that is like, I am the Orthodox Muslim.
Yeah.
You have that. So are you asking whether the Son has an act by which he says, I am the Son, the Father has an act by which he says, I am the Father, and the Spirit has an act by which he says, I am the Spirit?
What's your answer to that?
I will say no, they have one and the same act of self knowledge.
So that just sounds like that just sounds like modalism.
No, because modalism refers to the substances. I mean,
Yeah,
Catholics have always believed it.
yeah, you're saying the Father is not aware He's the Father, the Son is not aware He's the Son, and the Spirit is not aware that He's the Spirit.
Well, they are aware, but
it sounds like you're saying there's just one person.
there is one mind.
Okay, and why would that not be one person?
Because being a person has nothing to do with the amount of minds you have.
All right, why? Okay, so tell me why that wouldn't be a person. I just asked you.
Why will not it be a person? Because person is about the being an individual substance of rational nature.
An individual substance of a rational nature. Does that require a mind or not?
It implies having a mind, but
So
it is not identical.
Can you be a rational agent without a mind?
You can be a rational substance without a
Again,
mind.
you're equivocating. How are you using substance? You're all over. You're all over the place. It just everywhere we go, you seem to be saying that you're a modalist, which is not expected for somebody who falls under the Augustinian model. Augustine seems to be confused.
The thing is that Augustine will agree with me that there is only one mind.
I know. That's why you follow Augustine's model because you're a Latin Trinitarian, and every time you speak, you just seem to be saying that there's actually one person. One person, and you seem to be saying that the Father, Son, Holy Spirit are some sort of aspects of one person.
Okay.
That's what you seem to be saying. Every direction we go, that's your conclusion. And I don't know how that just wouldn't be modalism.
Because modal. Okay, let me actually find if I can
You
find.
don't believe the Father, Son, Holy Spirit are really distinct, do you?
They are really distinct, yes.
How do you say that and not what's it called, risk divine simplicity exactly?
How do I say they are really distinct without risking divine simplicity?
Yeah.
Because they don't form composition.
Yeah, that's not what divine simplicity just is. Divine simplicity isn't just to say that a thing is not composed or made out of parts. Divine simplicity is to say that everything, or how do you say this? That everything in this thing is identical to it.
Yes, and in this case, we will say.
So the Father, Son, Holy Spirit are not external to the essence, right?
No, they are the very essence.
Good. So then you're saying there is no real distinction in the essence of God.
That depends what do you think real distinction means.
Bro, the classical meaning of what that means, brother.
The classical meaning, you mean classical logic? The thing
Yeah.
is that Catholics like me don't follow classical logic. We use
Under
scholastic logic.
Okay, under classical logic, would you be a modalist?
Probably.
So you reject classical logic because because it's problematic with your worldview.
In part, and because it's nonsensical. In fact,
No, it's not nonsensical if you're gonna argue like because of identity over time or whatever. That doesn't even apply to you because you believe the Trinity is timeless. So
okay. Do you know
that's not an issue.
what do you think a distinction is? A real distinction.
An asymmetry in predicates, I would say.
An asymmetry in predicates? Well, we will say that at some degree that will be true because there are distinct predicates for the Father and the Son. Like there are distinct five notions which are distributed among the persons of the Trinity. The Father has three, the Son has two, and the Spirit has one.
Okay. So how
This
does that fix you being a
well
modalist? Exactly.
well
Because
given that these guys with classical logic will try to say, well, if two things have all the same properties, they must be really the same thing. Well, in this case, since the Son doesn't has a few of the notions of the Father, he will not be the same. And then if you assume classical logic,
so then that risks your metaphysical commitment to ADS, right?
absolute divine simplicity. I
Yeah.
mean, well, the thing is that when we say absolute divine simplicity in the Catholic tradition, this just means what I said. God does not has parts.
That's not what divine simplicity entails, dude. If that was the case, then the Eastern Orthodox are divine simplists and Muslims are divine simplists.
Okay. Hold on. Wait a second.
That's,
Wait a second. Wait a second.
that's all.
Do you think that? Okay, let's go to Thomas Aquinas. Do you think that Thomas Aquinas thinks that there is no ground in the divine itself for distinction, and that's what divine
I
simplicity?
think Thomas Aquinas was confused. I think he's not being consistent. I think Catholics who say that God is absolutely simple, right? And at the same time, you want to hold to a biblical God who changes, who does things, who goes from not judging to judging and not creating to creating, and it's just you're gonna be confused. So do you believe that there's a point in time where God hasn't created?
Before God creates, there is no time to be.
there's a before God creates?
It's just said analogically.
You
Of course, there
believe
is no time
no, but you
before it.
believe okay. You believe God is timeless. You're a classical theist, so you don't believe
Yes.
neoplastic
No,
God.
hold on. Are you not a classical theist?
No,
No. What do you believe?
I'm a Muslim. I believe I'm a neoclassical theist.
Okay. What do you reject of classical theism?
Well, I don't believe God is radically immutable like you do. I believe God is in time. God has a place. God changes, not essentially. He goes from not doing things to doing things, from not creating to creating. I believe in a very simple prophetic notion of God. You believe in a very convoluted notion of God that simply isn't biblical and is not derived from a biblical text. Like
Okay.
you,
Let me ask you one thing. Do you think that classical theists don't believe that there is a plurality of attributes in God?
no, you believe that's just notional though. You believe it just exists in the mind.
So you don't think there is a plurality of attributes in God according to classical theists?
According to you, no, you don't believe that God really
Okay,
has
then
multiple
why does
attributes.
Thomas Aquinas has a passage here defending that God has a plurality of attributes?
I haven't read all of Aquinas. I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm talking to you
Yeah,
now.
but
So just
he
I'm talking to you. So do you believe God has attributes or no?
yes, he has a plurality of attributes, as Thomas Aquinas
He
says.
really has a plurality of attributes.
Yes, it is not only in the mind.
So how are you a classical? How are you a divine simplist?
Okay, do you think that Thomas Aquinas taught divine simplicity?
Yeah,
Well, he taught that God has a plurality of attributes.
I'm not sure. I'm asking you. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Do you believe?
Okay,
Do you
okay.
believe there is any distinctions in God?
Yes,
Are mercy and anger distinct?
yes.
Bro, what the? Does God have mercy and anger?
Depends in what sense you mean by that, because anger, for example, in us, he doesn't have anger like in the exact same size as us.
So okay. In the sense that he has it, is that distinct from mercy?
Yes,
Okay, so there are distinctions in God.
yes.
You just said there are no distinctions in God, man.
No, hold on. We do think that there are distinctions in God.
Bro, you just told me you don't believe God has any distinctions.
No, I say that he don't have composition or parts.
No, I just asked you, do you believe God has distinctions? You said, yeah, no, God has no distinctions.
I don't remember
Brother,
having
it
said
was
that.
3 minutes ago. Not even. It was
Boy,
a minute and a half ago.
boy, do you mean real distinctions?
Brother, are we back to that now? What's a real
No, okay, but when you ask it that,
what's a real distinction?
for me, a real distinction will be like the distinction between me and a cat.
So an asymmetry of attributes or
No, it
properties,
has to
sorry.
be strong like that. I mean, it has to be two realities. There is the reality that there is me and there is the cat. That is a real distinction.
Okay, I'm talking about an asymmetry of properties.
I don't know how to speak in that language.
You don't know how to speak. You've been speaking fine. You've been
No,
speaking.
what I
You've been
mean is
speaking
that
fine, man.
that type of classical logic language. But okay, so let's just settle this.
Yeah.
Do you tell me one thing? Does Thomas Aquinas believe in divine simplicity?
Yes. From
Okay,
what
so
I've read. Yes.
if he believes in divine simplicity, then what he believes, at least when he's speaking of the divine essence, apart from the person, when he's not bringing the persons, what he believes will be consistent with divine simplicity, and it's only when he brings the persons that
No,
he's inconsistent.
that's a non sequitur. Just because he has a position, it doesn't mean that everything else he says has to be compatible with this position.
No, yeah, but okay, you say that when Thomas Aquinas is inconsistent with divine simplicity, is with the Trinity, right?
Sorry? One more time?
Thomas Aquinas is inconsistent, according to you, with divine simplicity when he brings up the Trinity.
Yeah, if you're saying Thomas Aquinas has believes in real attributes that are really distinct in God's essence, yet affirms absolute divine simplicity, then I don't see how the two can be compatible with
Well,
one
I
another.
think that the main issue here is that for the scholastics like Thomas Aquinas and co, real distinction has a much stronger meaning than in modern language.
Okay. What point does that prove exactly?
Okay, so the thing is that for us, real distinction basically means like, okay, let me ask you one thing, just to say this. Do you think that cat and dog are really distinct? And I don't mean a particular cat or a particular dog, but the concept of cat and dog. Are they really distinct?
Yeah, yeah, and that they instantiate two distinct things.
Yeah, okay, but the concept as such, are they really distinct?
Yeah, I don't. So, are you saying they're two different concepts? Yes, they're two different concepts. Do the concepts really exist? No.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So the scholastics will not say something like the concepts of cat and dog are really distinct. Why? Because for us, real distinction applies to things that actually exist.
Okay. Do the attributes actually exist?
They actually exist, but not as distinct. For
Are
the
they are they
scholastics,
are the attributes numerically identical or not numerically
they are
identical?
they are the same reality as the essence, but they
I
are
didn't ask you
eminent
that. I said, are they numerically identical? Just need to know.
numerical identical. Okay, the attributes of God are there is the one divine essence, and this divine essence in its eminence contains all the attributes.
Yeah, that doesn't answer the question. Are they numerically identical or no?
Okay, numerical identical. What do you mean by that?
It just means that they are the same one thing.
The same reality?
Brother, what do you say reality? What are you talking about? What do you mean the
Okay,
same reality?
are you asking whether
You
there is
keep
the divine?
I'm asking you if mercy and anger are the same one attribute
No, they are
or
not
are
the
they
same one attribute.
okay, so they're not numerically identical.
If that's what you mean, then no, they are not numerically the
Okay,
same.
then there's real distinction. If there's real distinction in God, then that implies composition in your view.
Yeah, that's the deal because as we okay, let me explain how do we think the
Is
attribute?
God composed?
No,
Okay. He's composed if there are parts, correct?
yes,
And a part is that which is lesser than the whole. Right?
that's not exactly how we will define it.
Alright, what's a part?
A part is a really distinct thing united to another really distinct thing under the aspect of real distinction.
A distinct thing
A
united
really
to
distinct thing.
a
Okay,
really
let me try to
distinct
explain.
thing. One second. A really distinct thing united to another really distinct thing?
Under the aspect of real distinction.
How does that answer my question?
That's what a part is.
So I'm asking you. So wait. So a part is a real thing united to another real thing. A real distinct
Basically,
thing united to another real distinct thing.
yes.
Okay. Are those so? You're just saying that it's lesser than the whole. That's literally what that is.
I guess that you could say that.
You just repeated what I told you. A real distinct united to another real distinct thing is two real distinct things, right?
Yes.
Which means one real distinct thing is not the whole. It's only a part.
Right? Yes,
Because
that's what a part is.
Good. Is mercy lesser than the whole?
Is mercy lesser than the whole? What will be the whole?
God. The essence.
God.
The essence.
Mercy is identified with the very one divine essence.
Then ask that. Is it the whole or is it lesser than the whole?
Is it the whole? I mean, okay. Can I explain to you how do we believe the attributes are in God? And then
Just
we can
answer this
discuss.
question first. Are the attributes lesser than the whole?
Lesser than the whole, virtually so, yes.
Virtually?
Yes, virtually.
So wait, are the attributes real distinct things or not?
Okay, let me try to explain to you how they are.
You said earlier they're really distinct things. Now
No.
they're not
Okay,
really
okay,
distinct
okay,
things.
okay.
They're just they're in the mind? What's going
I
on?
think that actually, hold on. I think that the main problem here is that we have very distinct language. Because I speak like a scholastic, and I assume you follow classical logic.
Yeah, that's just what
Well,
philosophers
there is a 400-year gap between our language.
That's okay, brother. I'm following you. Is the attribute a real distinct thing?
Okay, for us to say that an attribute is really distinct will be like saying, basically saying that, okay, when we using our language, if you said God's love is really distinct from God, you'd basically be saying that there is God here, and then over here there is God's love.
Over here, no, I don't know what you're referring to.
Okay, imagine a person and a cat. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Distinction.
yeah, yeah. It's for analogy. It's for
Yeah, but
analogy.
distinction doesn't imply ontological separation.
No, but in scholastic language, real distinction does.
Okay, okay. Whatever. My mercy and my love, how are they distinct from another?
I could not really tell you.
What?
I will have to study how exactly does that work. What I can tell you is how they are distinct.
My mercy and my love, are they the same attribute or are they different attributes?
They are distinct attributes that you have.
All right. What kind of distinction would that be?
What kind of distinction? Man, I actually had to study this stuff. You are actually giving me a lot to study.
All right. That kind of distinction, is that in God?
Is that in God? I am not sure if God. I think that God always has a lesser degree of distinction between His attributes than ours.
All right. Well, because I have real distinctions in my hypothesis, right? In my
For
substance,
example,
then I am composed.
yes.
If God has the same distinction, then He is composed, right?
Yes, that's why we say that He does not have the same distinction.
So then He doesn't have distinct attributes, distinct in the same way that I'm referring to.
Yeah, exactly. God's attributes are not distinct in the same way as you.
So how are they distinct?
Okay, let me explain to you this.
Are they only distinct in the mind?
Actually, we have a middle way. Okay, the scholastics believe in three types of distinctions. There is, first of all, the real distinction. The real distinction.
Brother, I don't want you to run me through your scholastic definitions. I just want to know the kind of distinction that my attributes have. Does your God have that for His attributes or no?
The kind of distinction that your attributes have, no, He has a lesser degree.
A lesser degree. All right, and how does that look like?
Okay, we had to actually explain this to you. It is not too long.
All right, explain it. I want give me a real example, please.
Okay, first of all, there is the major real distinction, that which is between two separate things.
Yes,
like
that
Joe and his cat.
The cat and me. Yes, I know what a major real distinction is.
Then there is the minor real distinction, also known as modal distinction, which will be, for example, you and you sitting, or you and you standing.
Yeah, that's just me and a mode of mine.
Exactly, modal distinction.
Yep. So that's interesting. I was reading about that earlier. So that's me and me doing my homework.
I guess that could be a mode. Then there is the virtual distinction. Yeah. This is technically a real distinction, which serves as a foundation for the distinction of reasoned. I'll explain this further. The virtual distinction is the eminential containment in one single formality. Formality here just means like one thing over here. Of the different possible perfections, formalities that single formality has the active power to affect. For example, there is heating and drying in the sun shining. The sun shining eminently contains the power to heat and the power to dry. No, the power to dry and the power to tan.
Okay. So what kind of distinction do God's attributes have?
A minor distinction of reasoned.
Okay, but I'm not talking about God forgiving and God showing wrath. I'm talking about God's forgiveness and God's wrath.
Okay, the attributes themselves. This will be distinguished.
What kind of distinction do they have?
Okay, it is called a minor distinction of reason reasoned.
So you didn't
No,
know.
hold on. Let me actually. Okay, yeah, minor distinction of reason reasoned. This will be a distinction in which there is the thing, there is the divine essence, and the divine essence eminently contains all the attributes under one form.
When you say all the attributes, you are already positing a distinction. I'm
Yes,
asking you
exactly.
what makes them all and not just one.
What makes them what?
What makes them many, all, and not just one?
The fact that the divine essence contains them eminently. For example,
That begs the question: What makes it a them and not a one thing, a one attribute?
okay, let me give you an analogy. Imagine a king.
I'm
Okay,
imagining.
can you a king?
Yeah, imagining.
The king has the power to judge, he has the judicial power, the legislative power, and the executive power. Okay.
Yep.
Now, does he has three powers?
In one sense, in another sense, no.
Yes, he has three powers in like analogically, but really he only has one power, the kingly power, which eminently contains the other three powers.
Yeah.
This is the same way in which the divine essence relates to the divine attributes.
Yeah. Now you're just talking about effects. I'm talking about the attribute itself.
Yeah, the attributes themselves have this type of like
So
relation.
you're saying, but that speaks to effects, though, right?
Yeah, it is related to the effects
No,
in that.
it's one power that produces three effects.
Yes, more or like yeah,
So
it's something like
I'm
that.
not talking about effects. I'm talking about the attribute itself, not in how many effects one attribute can produce.
So
Are there real distinct or different attributes in the example you just gave? Power could produce different effects. Then you have the king has wisdom. Does God have distinct attributes in the same way the king has power and wisdom?
I don't think so. In that case, they will not be.
All right. So then your God has one attribute.
He has one divine essence,
He has one
which
act. He's one act.
yeah, he has one act.
Is one pure act. Okay, that's what I mean by one attribute. So stands independently. How can you distinguish between God's mercy and God's forgiveness? Can you or can you not? Stands independent. Take humans and creatures out of equation. Can we intelligibly say that with meaning that God has mercy and God has anger?
Outside of like the intellection of the creator,
Yes.
no. Prior to intellection, there is no distinction.
Okay, so then stands independently, your God, for your God, it's unintelligible to say mercy or anger or anything. It's just
Not because
it has no true meaning.
God comprehends the entirety of what He is in one single formality. He doesn't
No,
have to
no,
distinguish
remember,
between mercy and.
remember, you just said God is one act, right? It just produces different effects. And these effects we name and we identify as mercy, forgiveness, and so on. If we are not there to conceptualize, then it's the same one act, right? It's the same
There
one
is
act.
all. Yes, there is only one act from
All
God
right, good.
towards
So then
creation.
it's unintelligible, stands independently to say that God is merciful and God is forgiving and God is angry. It's just unintelligible.
No, because we say that God eminently contains all of that.
Yeah, but it's unintelligible, right? Without
No, it's
allowing to
not
concept.
unintelligible.
So
We are
what is
not
it?
nominalists.
So how does it have true meaning exactly if it's just the same one act?
Okay, again with the analogy of the king. Is it unintelligible when you predicate the power to judge to the king?
Sorry?
When you say the king has the power to judge, is that unintelligible?
No, why would it be unintelligible?
Okay, so is the king like an actual judge, or does he just has the power to judge?
What? What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're the
Okay,
reference
does
you're
the
showing.
king? Okay, just you know that the king has one power, which is the kingly power.
No, the king has many different attributes. The king
Yes,
has
but
the king has one power, right? That power can produce different effects. The effects are dependent on external things, right?
yes.
Good. I'm saying stands independent without anything external. Is there any true meaning in saying God is merciful?
As a particular attribute, I don't think so.
And there's no true meaning in saying that God is angry or has anger. Is
Well, anger
unintelligible.
by definition needs a thing to be angry at. So how can God be angry
Well,
if there is no other thing?
you could know what anger is and distinguish that with mercy without it being actualized. It's not a problem.
Yeah, but in the case of God,
You're
like his
saying you're
emotions.
saying you're saying that God has one act, right? That one act produces mercy, love, anger, and everything in between. Now, we could, in our minds, identify the different effects, right? Through which, or from which, or that emanates from this one act. But without our conceptualization, stands independently, it's meaningless to say God is merciful and God is loving, right?
Without the effects,
Stands independently.
stands independently. Okay, so no creaturely intellect looking at God.
Yeah.
Without creaturely intellect looking at God, God only has one formality. The attributes only appear when a creaturely mind
Yeah. So
interacts with it.
in other words, it's meaningless and unintelligible. And I think that's absurd when you read the biblical text. But that's a
I guess so.
conversation for another day. We've been talking for
Yeah.
too
Okay.
long.
Okay. So besides, already. I am running out of time. I just wanna ask you,
Yeah.
what do you think of classical theism, and what are your views that are different from it?
I think classical theism is atheism. And I think that God is not radically immutable, like I mentioned. I think God is not a timeless being. God has change, not in his essential ontology, but he goes from state of affairs A to state of affairs B to state of affairs C. Yeah, that's what I think. But we could talk about
Okay,
that another
hold
time.
on. I wanna look into that of immutability. So, do you think that saying that God becomes creator is against the strong immutability of classical
God
theism?
becomes create. No, God never becomes creator. God is always the creator in virtue of him having the attribute to create.
No, no, no. By creator, I mean like having been the creator right now. I mean, not just the power to create, but having actually created.
Yeah, God actualizes his attribute in time.
Okay. So, do you think that God gaining the extrinsic property of creator is against classical theism?
Extrinsic property, you're saying that God doesn't create and then he creates, so then he gains a non essential property that's intrinsic?
Yeah, like for
Yeah, I
example,
don't, yeah,
extrinsic.
that's, we believe that.
Okay, let me check one thing over
Those
here.
properties would be non essential.
Okay, let me read this to you and tell me what you think. God can be said to change extrinsically by an extrinsic change, which is a mere extrinsic denomination arising in something, not from a change in itself but in another. An example would be a column, which becomes left from right because a person changes position. Thus, the world is denominated united to Christ's humanity, which it was not united to before, not from the acquisition of a new form and real relation by the world, but from the acquisition of a new form, perfection, and relation by the humanity. Therefore, the entire change is on the part of the humanity.
I can't remember all that. I have to look at it
Okay,
again.
let's just
There's a
read the
lot of
first part.
information. Yeah.
An example will be a column which becomes left from right because a person changes position.
A, a clone?
A column, a
A
column.
column. A column. Yeah. What a. Yeah, that's relational.
Yes, do you think that according to classical theism that happens with God?
According to classical theism, whether
Extrinsic
God's
change.
extrinsic change, yeah,
The,
that's
that's
what
actually great.
intuitively. I don't know. Let me just think. God in classical theism. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that sounds right. Why would you disagree or
Yeah, it's
agree?
because what I read to you was an excerpt by a Catholic author who holds to traditional classical theism.
Yeah, but what do you agree with them or disagree?
Yes, I agree with it. Is that I have seen people who say that according to classical theism, God does not gain extrinsic properties like creator, Lord,
Yeah,
savior of the
but
human
I
race.
think God can change intrinsically, not just extrinsically.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know that, but do you
Yeah.
think that saying God changes extrinsically, you don't think that that's against classical theism?
No, I think no. God could be the Lord. Well, God can gain new relational properties, right?
Yeah, basically that. It's because I've seen people, neoclassical theists, claiming that classical theists don't even believe that about God.
No, I wouldn't see an issue there. I wouldn't see an issue, but no, I believe God changes intrinsically as well.
Yeah, also, what would be like an intrinsic change?
Like God um, actualizing His ability to create.
So do you think that God has act and potency?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's interesting. And okay, I had to study this issue more, but thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, one thing: do you think that God has emotions?
Emotions. What does that mean? Like God gets happy? He's
Like
pleased?
God has sadness, grief, anger, etc.
Yeah, God has anger. God gets pleased. I believe God laughs. Yeah.
Well, we reject that. Do you think God suffers, like emotionally?
I don't know what that means. Suffers.
Uh,
That
ju-
doesn't sound befitting. We only affirm what God affirms for himself and what the prophet
do you
affirms
think
for
that
the
God is
prophet.
grieved, really? Like we are grieved?
I don't know what that means.
Don't you know what grief is?
No, I just don't know what it means when you're grief. Like what do you mean grief? Like you're
Like when you're really sad, basically.
sad? I don't. No, that's not. I don't think that's an attribute that we ascribe to God.
Yeah, but that's at least better than many who think that God like actually gets sad and like a human.
No, we don't. Yeah, we believe in analogical predication. We don't believe God is like.
Okay, so you don't believe there are like real emotions in God like enough. There is
No,
only
they're real. They're just analog. So they're real, but they're not ontologically similar. They're
yeah. So
similar.
it's like a
So
metaphor that describes something in God that is
so
similar to
so
us.
so like Thomas Aquinas speaks about this. So um, for example, he says uh, somebody can say I am healthy, right? And they could also say that my food that I'm eating is healthy, right? There is a shared and common value in the word healthy there, but the meaning is not the same. Although there's a shared meaning, it wouldn't be the same, right? It's analogically predicated. So we don't believe that God is like us ontologically. We believe that God he hears, he sees, he speaks, but the way that he hears, he speaks, he sees is not ontologically like how we hear, see, and speak.
Okay, do you think that God is wholly immaterial?
That just depends on your account of what material is. I think if under my view, any material would just refer to any concrete thing that could be sensed by one of the five senses. If a thing could be sensed by at least one of the five senses, then it's material. If you
Can
mean
you
by
sense God by the five senses?
sorry,
Can you sense God by the five senses?
yeah, by
But
no, it's not. So it depends on what you mean by all five or by at least one. I'm saying by at least one. So
yeah, okay,
we're gonna see God, right? We believe that we will really see God. So we
but
will
do you
sense
think that
God.
that's a particular way which God reveals Himself to be seen, or like God can always be seen?
No, God will be seen. He will
But
be
always?
what?
Okay, for example,
Yeah,
um,
we will see him with our eyes. We will see him.
yeah, but with your eyes, not just with the intellect being communicated
No, we
from
will
God.
see him with our eyes.
Con los ojos, okay, because we will say that when we say that in heaven we see God, we mean like an intellectual vision, not like
No, no.
seeing Him.
We will see God. We will really see God.
Okay, so you are gonna have photons hitting God and coming into your eyes.
Yeah. So we don't believe we could see guys with God with these eyes, but God will in the life to come. Um, we will see him with our eyes. I just don't know if it'll be the same process, earthly
Okay, do
process
you
of seeing, but it'll be real sight.
okay, but do you think that there will come photons hit God?
I don't know. I don't know. That's something that applies here. I don't know if that's something that'll apply in the next.
Okay,
All I affirm is that I will really see eyes, God with my eyes.
well, we
I
will
don't know if
also affirm
photons or not. That's
we will
not.
also affirm that at some degree, like these eyes will like see something, but we will not say that it's like from photons. Like here, it's like God can that communicates with, to our mind what how he's like.
Yeah, I know you're a classical theist. I'm saying, yeah, we disagree. But yeah, man, you've been here for a while, so I'm gonna move on now.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna leave for now. Maybe we
Thank you.
can have a discussion another day.
Yes, thank you for coming. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Nice guy. I enjoyed my conversation with him. Yo, bro, I was thinking in my head, man. Like, bro, that guy sounded exactly like Mario, bro. Like, bro. Hey, if you're still watching, man, shout out to you, bro. You sound exactly like Mario, dog. Like, that guy's a real Italian, bro. I ain't gonna lie, he's a real Italian. That's crazy.